Colonel, let's talk about your tenure as president of the NRA. Not exactly a job that I saw you taking, but I'm sure glad you did.
Well, it was a surprise to me. I was invited to take the job while we were down in Texas for our annual meetings, and the leadership came to me and said, "We need you." And I'm a Marine, so I'm always up for a good, clean fight, and I think we've got one. We've got the NRA under attack like it never has been before. We've got not just personal threats and physical intimidation. We've got extra-legal coercion being worked against the NRA by the governor of New York and a whole bunch of his regulators, using the coercive power of the state to deny the NRA its First Amendment rights. They've actually launched a operation to literally destroy the organization. And the governor has said he wants to ruin the NRA, destroy it, and bankrupt it. So we've got a fight on our hands like we've never had before. And of course, we're right in the middle of a political season. We're doing our very best to preserve a Second Amendment majority in the House of Representatives. We've got a judge that we're hoping is going to become the justice of a Supreme Court. So it's been a busy time, Governor.
Well, Colonel, you talked about how New York is specifically targeted the NRA. And it's not just the NRA, but it's anyone affiliated with them, with banks that do business with the NRA, with any company, whether it's a car rental company or an airline. I mean, this is a form of economic terrorism, it would appear.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And it's not just the folks at the NRA, you're right. It's credit card companies, it's banks, it's insurance companies, it's all the affinity companies with whom the NRA has done business. And that's why I say it's, first of all, extra legal, it's coercive. It's the kind of thing you'd expect that a court would say, this is unconstitutional. We believe in the Second Amendment, but we also believe in the First. And they're using the First Amendment against us. We're telling the truth with it.
Are you going to be able, do you feel, to legally push back and to win against this? Because if you lose, it's not just the NRA, it's any organization that finds itself afoul of the people running whatever the latest political correctness movement may be.
Well, as you and I know, the progressive left, the Democrat socialists out there, indeed intend to deny us our Second Amendment. In fact, they've already announced plans that if they get a majority, they're going to start the process of repealing the Second Amendment. You know, the NRA has been around since 1871 as a civil rights organization, believing that the Second Amendment is important to preserving the other 9 of our Bill of Rights. And what we're looking at today is an effort literally to abolish the NRA. They're treating us like we're a malignancy. And I can tell you right now, the Second Amendment is not a disease. The NRA is there to defend it. And what we're going to do is fight literally tooth and nail all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to.
After the Parkland school shooting, which was horrific, and I don't know how anybody could be anything but brokenhearted for the just terrible tragedy that it represented. But once again, as it is in almost every mass shooting situation, the emotional direction of hate and animosity directed toward the NRA was vivid. Because it's such an emotional issue, Colonel, how do you combat that?
Well, look, the NRA was used as a cover-up for what happened at Parkland. The Broward County officials who allowed that school to go completely unprotected and then blame the NRA for a murderous rampage and say somehow it was our fault, wrong. And in fact, what they did is tried to cover up the misfeasance, the malfeasance, the nonfeasance, and quite frankly, cowardice of the officials down in Broward County that allowed that to happen. Now, as a part of a positive answer to all of that, the NRA started 6 years ago a program called School Shield. And what I've done in my tenure as the president of NRA is we're taking that program across the country. We offer a free, that word free, assessment of the vulnerabilities of a school or a school system. We'll go in there and train assessors on how to look after their school after we're gone. And what we'll do is turn that report over to the school officials and to the sheriff's department. We're not going to announce the vulnerabilities to anybody else. We're not going to hold a press conference on it and let them fix it. And for that, we have grants to help those school systems. There is no other organization on the planet Earth that offers a program to protect kids in school like we do. And you know what? There's school systems that won't use us because we're the NRA.
Which is very unfortunate. So let's ask the question. How many mass shootings in America have been carried out by an NRA member?
Not one yet. Now that doesn't say, look, I'm trying to double the membership of the NRA, Governor. So we're out there telling everybody we've only got 6 million members. We need 12 million members. I suppose it's possible there are people buying memberships who intend to do bad things. Thus far, it has not happened. And my prayer is that it doesn't happen.
And of course it isn't. But I think my point is, if the NRA gets blamed for shootings, but none of its members have ever carried them out, and in fact, what you just mentioned with the School Shield program or the Eddie Eagle program to help young people understand responsible respect for firearms. And that leads to the next question, and I know we're about out of time, but this is an important one. When some people hear about the NRA, they say, well, but you know, I'm not a hunter. Why is it that people don't understand the NRA is not just about hunting and shooting sports, it's something much bigger than that?
Well, it is, and unfortunately, we've not done enough to get that word out to people. We've tried. As you know, as well as I do, there's a lot of hostile media out there. So a good news story like School Shield, or right now, for example, while we're in the midst of a hurricane, right? The NRA is responsible for the legislation for emergency protection because in the aftermath of Katrina, we learned that thousands of people had their firearms confiscated, lawfully held personal firearms collected by the government down in New Orleans illegally. And so what we did is we passed, and we got passed in legislation initially down in Louisiana and now across the country, emergency protection legislation that says when the power is out, when the 911 line doesn't answer, you need to have something to protect yourself, your family, and your property. And that won't happen again because of what the NRA did. This NRA is not just about hunting. I'm a hunter. It's not just about going out and plinking at the range. The NRA is about protecting the people of this country, and it was, after all, an idea that was put into the Constitution, James Madison, God bless you, to protect us from the tyranny of government.
Colonel, thank you very much. Delight to have you here. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
You can learn more about the importance of the Second Amendment and how to be a safely trained and legal gun owner. Just go to NRA.org. That's NRA.org. Believe me, whether your interest is in hunting, the outdoors, or personal security, the NRA can help you do it safely, sanely, and wisely.